Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is Pete Dumont. I'm President and CEO of the Air Traffic Control Association. Excuse me, one of the organizers of the World ATM Congress. 2 years ago, we got together with FABEC and we decided how could we bring FABEC to the World ATM Congress and develop an ox theater like this with content that would be Frederick. We came up with this concept, and they came up with the concept. We helped them enable it. So we're very happy to be partners because that's what all of this is about, especially something like this. And the FABEC is a partnership. So we appreciate the partnership with FABEC. We appreciate you being here. We look forward to working with you in the future, and thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Michiel van Dorst, and I'm the CEO of Air Traffic Control the Netherlands, and I'm also at present for this year the chairman of the ASB, the FABEC ASB. So I'd like to welcome you all to the theater and the IneterFAB panel today on the fragmentation of airspace management. Returning for a second year, the FABEC Ops Theater provides a forum for the industry to exchange venue, but which is quite a departure from the usual things that are discussed here at the World ATM Congress. It analyzes and it focuses on day-to-day operational activity, and it serves as a timely reminder that the operations lie at the heart of all the business we do. To a wider audience like yourself, about the complexities and challenges that we face on an everyday basis in the air traffic management. Last year, the IneterFAB panel on volatility and adverse weather, they sparked a lot of discussion and debate. Members of FABEC, along with colleagues from the IneterFAB panel, addressed two key issues with a major impact on our business. The forum heard about unexpected peaks and troughs in demand experienced by ANSPs, along with the rise in extreme weather, which I'm sure we have all encountered and had to deal with over the last year. This event led to a wider engagement across the industry and an in-depth discussion about short-term and long-term measures to help reduce the impact on those. The Ops initiative is instrumental in bringing such issues to the attention of the group within the Eurocontrol Network Manager. And so evidence-based data can be collected by the IneterFAB members and can be and will be shared across the industry. Coming back to today's panel. Today's session on the impact of fragmentation on the performance of the business promises a similar response as we have had last year. The Single European Sky proposes seamless airspace. However, it does stop short of describing the structure and the framework to deliver this. Yet fragmentation occurs in many present-day situations. From the institutional bodies that frame our business to the delivery of the air navigation services we're in every day. So the question, of course, is where is this?
I should be very brief and just talk about what we mean by fragmentation. As soon as you say the word fragmentation, it has evil connotations. It suggests something that's broken and shattered, it's not working, it needs to be put back together again. We also describe the same word as subsidiarity. They both mean the same thing, one is positive, one is negative. There's no mention of fragmentation in the SES regulation, but where it does appear, it always appears in a very negative light. Aviation is a
control could act for more than one. Normally, it's today we have a sector staffed with one planning, one executive controller. This could easily be one planning controller for 2 or 3 executive controllers, as long as we have available technology in place.
Brilliant. Okay, Geoffrey, what's your view?
We want to be here during lunchtime or siesta time because it's difficult. And it was like this last year, so we have to change that. But anyway, thanks for being here. On fragmentation, 3 main ideas at this point. I think that in the imagination of many people, you see different sectors, so this is fragmentation, and we want a world where the flight will never leave a sector, keep the same frequency from departure to arrival. This is not possible. This is not achievable. I will give you one number. In the US, they have 22 centers. In FAB 14. So obviously, which is the Washington Center in the US, they have in fact 4 different zones, which have their own training, their own setup, everything. So it's not the number of centers. When you reach the limit, you have to divide the airspace in 2 to be manageable. So you will never have this view of one sector, one frequency from departure until the end. So that's one thing. Second, in terms of systems, we'll say, okay, one system, one centralized system. Do you use Windows, iOS, or Android today? Would you like to see one system today? Which one will you take? No, you have all 3 and they work together. They are interoperable. So we want to exchange emails. That's easy. We want to exchange calendar. So this is more tricky, but we reach it. So as long as we have systems that communicate together, we can achieve what we want. And we don't have one system that is de facto standard. So this is really important. And again, there's also the transition time. Sorry, all our training today is based on geographical knowledge. You don't know where the traffic, you force the traffic to be where you want it to be because the human being is at the center of the safety. You know where the conflict will be, so you can monitor it. If the conflict is everywhere, you don't know where to look. So we have to maybe transition to a new system, but it will take time. So it's not from one day to the next. And is it achievable in the end? Maybe, but I haven't seen any system or any proof today that shows that. So there's going to be a transition anyway to the future that will come.
Right. Okay. Interesting. Thank you, Mauricio.
First of all, we are offering the lunch later on. No, it's a joke. Anyway, let's move on the other side. In my opinion, to avoid fragmentation, we have to adopt the same operational concept. And it's one possible way to solve is what the key issue for me is. This is the key element. Sorry, and I think maybe we could have different platform. In my opinion, we should adopt the same ATM functionality. This is the target. So operational. One simple example that we adopted in IneterFAB, for instance, just to give you some flavor about the common approach in terms of operation. Free route operation. Free route operation could help us to improve the fragmentation, to reduce the fragmentation, because we are working on the same concept. And this is the key element for me to increase the capacity, more or less, and to reduce inefficiency. So inside the IneterFAB, inside the FABs, we have to adopt cross-border coordination in order to avoid any complexity or to reduce the complexity. And so we have to start at the national level, then to harmonize at a regional level at the time. And another thing, we should have a centralized vision, but we have to build at the regional level, then to move to that central approach.
I think everybody agrees with the concept. I think the questions are about timing. What is a reasonable time frame for that?
The timing, let's say, in my opinion, there's a European regulation we have to follow. There's a specific time frame that we have to adopt in terms of functionality that we have to implement. I think starting now, we could give the right answer in the next 2-3 years.
Right.
Then, after these 2-3 years, we can think different, in a different way. Maybe trying to new concept, drones at the lower space, suborbital flights, and whatever. But in my opinion, the first step is to adopt common operational procedures. And I think we have time. The concepts are there. It's time to adopt it.
Okay. Thomas, what's your view?
Yeah, hello everyone. There was a very good point touched about the systems or single systems which should be used in our aviation environment. So very good. We don't need a single system. We just need that the system could speak with each other. So the key issue is the data. So if the data which is needed for better coordination or cooperation or the automatization, what I would stress as well. So which would help for the air traffic controllers to reduce the workload. This means we would have the more capacity to be used. So I think for the technologies help for us every year, and it will help in the future. So I think we are in the good path, and we just need to, maybe you spoke about the time, we just need to increase the implementation and to make it happen much more quicker.
But do you think that heading towards a more unified or harmonized, integrated ATM system can be a bottom-up process, or can it be a combination of a bottom-up and a top-down process, institutionally?
Yeah, I think probably from the legislation part, we have everything on the table. We just need to follow it and just need to look for the best technology solution in aviation. The time is the key issue, and aviation can have the quick solutions. This is the only reason why we're still here speaking about the fragmentation.
Okay, thank you. And what's your view on it?
My view is that is this on? Yes.
Yeah.
There is not one solution for the fragmentation. I think that fragmentation is not just bad, but for me this is not a tame problem to solve. It's a wicked problem, and wicked problems need other kind of solutions to or other ways of working to bring in new solutions. So I think you can at the same time both have a bottom-up and top-down perspective, but that requires that you work with the other methods to solve this kind of problem.
I mean, the one big disconnect I see at the moment in the system is resource planning at a local level. So you have a centralized view about how air traffic is going to grow in Europe over the next 5 years, but you don't know what it actually means to your own air traffic control center, how many controllers you're going to need in 3 years' time, what the procedures that you have. To look at resource planning locally, but at the same time ensuring that that's somehow connected to the overall theme of
question. What we do at the moment is to try to get as many air traffic controllers as available.
Sure.
So it's not an easy task to convince young people that air traffic control is a job that might not even get boring for job as an air traffic controller is basically not an easy task. So there is not much of a planning involved. It's as simple as that. We try to maximize the output of our academy.
Right. Okay. But is that something you could coordinate with your partners? Perhaps training, or is that always just going to be done?
No. We simply do it on a local level.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, there could be cooperation, of course. Yeah, there is cooperation in place, but at the moment, as far as I see, it's more done on a local level, and there is not much of a need to interact with others because we all share the same problem.
Right. Okay. So it's just numbers that you need, really. Yeah.
But you mean how many controls?
Yes.
Well, our academy wants to get 40 people per year.
Right.
For Austria alone.
Okay.
Of course, there's 40 people per year to hopefully bring us, maybe 30 through the whole training.
Welcome. How do you manage resources at a local level in terms of equipment, new procedures, new controllers, at the same time when you have a high level view about what traffic might be like, but you don't know what it's going to be like in your air traffic control center? So as a man who's sitting in Brussels telling us, indicating what the overall traffic is going to be like, how should we work better with the local partners to understand those traffic loads on individual centers, and then plan that 5 years ahead, because it takes 5 years to train an air traffic controller? What's the network manager's view about how the local and the central should work together?
So, good afternoon, and apologies for being late. I think it's a good question in the sense that how will we plan? On what basis will we plan? We have an economic forecast, which is translated into a demand. We expect a demand of 2%, 3% increase per year for the next 15 years. That's an economic forecast. Then we look at the schedules of airlines. Then we look at the projections of where we expect the airlines to be operating. And then we actually make a third assumption in terms of which sectors will they flow. So it's a huge jump from an economic forecast to a country forecast to a local forecast at sector level. But we need to have a basis for planning. We need that because the 5-year plan of an agreed basis. Unless changes happen, and they will happen, then those have to be managed. But I think we cannot give up in the sense that we cannot predict the future, so we will not plan, or we don't know what to plan. I think that's the most important thing for me, is that there's an agreed way of doing it. We update our forecasts every 6 months. And NSP will tell you that I cannot change my overall plans. There's a tweaking of these plans, which needs to happen. We learn from the experience every day. Just a change in the fuel price will mean that airlines will fly in different sectors. We fly differently. A change in the unit cost of an ANSP, on the service unit of an ANSP, will actually also influence where the aircraft will fly from. And you cannot predict those. You cannot predict a downturn in the economy. So there are a lot of uncertainties, but I think that has, through the network management, through the collaborative process, we need to agree an assumption, we need to agree a plan. So I think, yes, it is difficult, but the basis has to be there, and then it's up to us, if plans change, if traffic patterns change, that basically we also manage that change.
Thank you. Jacques, I wonder whether you could just give us your view about how, at a local level or at a national level, you can best adapt your plans and your planning and your operations to this very volatile traffic area. So can you do this? How quickly can you adapt? And is it easier to do it, do you think, at a national level, or could it be done at a more centralized level?
As Joe mentioned, you need the global view, but this global view will be true, but at local level, I mean, it's an average view, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So an average is in the center, you've got structure according to current traffic, but tomorrow the flows will be different because the demand destinations, the controller is too long. And again, you have crisis and you've got ups and downs. So now we're in an up, so everybody goes full blast.
Yeah.
And then maybe the ups and downs that are really difficult in our daily job. But we try to the max to adapt to the traffic and in fact maintain a baseline of control.
I think that's interesting. I think everybody knows the theory about the problem and the theory of the solution that you train enough controllers. It's not working though. At the moment, it's not working. We have too many controllers sometimes, and not enough controllers at another time. Surely, and isn't there an argument to say that the performance scheme has not helped them be flexible enough to manage future demand and manage the planning for new controllers, new equipment, and new procedures?
In my opinion, we have to consider two different factors. The first one, to know exactly what are the plane or the space users. Because most of the time we are not able to intercept their needs because we don't know exactly what are their plans. So maybe they ask to fly different city pair, different from the summer, from the winter, the previous summer. So for us, it's very difficult to adapt our position at their request. Going back as flexibility. Because we're talking about that before the starting of this meeting, fragmentation and traffic volatility. This is the same part of the problem. How can we solve this problem? Maybe introducing new concept in terms of operation, up-close licensing, for instance, or maybe different concept in terms of coordination between different FABs. So traffic volatility is a problem. Fragmentation is probably the wrong answer to the traffic volatility. Because if we have to adapt our sectors according to the different requests coming from the space users, we are forced to do in a different way, maybe adding different personnel, more personnel, which is not the answer. We have to move in a different way, in my opinion, maybe adapting the airspace in a very flexible way, all together with the European Commission, EASA, for instance, Regulation 340 en route. So for us, it's a very strong constraint. And if we need controller, we are unable to provide us at the right time, where the space users are requesting controllers for us. So it's quite complex, but I think we are going back to the operational concept. In my opinion, adopting at the European level the same operational concept, which are on PCP, probably we could solve in the short term some constraints. The more information from the space users about their strategy, what will be their request, what are the investment plans in terms of fleet, aircraft, and whatever. Because we are ready to organize our space in order to accommodate the different demand coming from the space users. So we have to work all together. If you leave the provider alone, is able just to provide a partial answer to the question. This is my comment.
So are you saying that a more flexible use of airspace, so you can change sectors to adapt to traffic levels, that will keep the same operational concept
Yes.
throughout
Yes.
Europe? Thomas, what's your view on that?
Yeah, I have a belief that we can control the traffic in maybe different way by the terms of virtualization. So if the virtualization will be, I think it could help because right now we imagine the traffic control under the country level, but if we have a network, it would help, I think.
Thank you. Anne, what do you think?
Yes, hello.
Yeah.
I think one topic that we haven't talked so much about, if you could enhance the training, so it
Yeah.
could be done in 2 years instead of 3, then we have a 30% extra volume on controllers. And I think I haven't been in the industry for such a long time, so I can elaborate over how training has changed over the years. But I think it's been quite similar for decades. So I think there is a lot to do to enhance training and.
Okay, thank you. Joe, you've heard all these views. I think you know to deal with the issues of fragmentation. And surely, if we have cross-border free route airspace everywhere, won't that more or less deal with the problem?
I think in the future, well, the Commission has just accepted the airspace architecture study.
Right.
This is actually based on 2 things. An airspace restructuring to have sectors more compatible with the flows. It is about data and data sharing and being able to provide data where it is needed. And it is about controller tools, controller productivity tools. These are the 3 main elements of that. So, i.e., we want to say, okay, these are where the sector should be. We shouldn't be saying, and ANSPA, you deal with this sector, ANSPB, you deal with this sector. That's a business decision of the ANSPs. But we should have an overall structure which makes sense from a network perspective. Again, data and data sharing. The idea of data service providers is a new idea, but it's coming out of the airspace architecture study. And that means that whoever is able to deliver the best data will actually be able to share it in a way that maybe others don't need to themselves to provide it. And when I look at data, it immediately brings to mind data. And this is key. So when I talk about data sharing, it's not just the concept of a service provider, it's about what data. And it's the data which is to be shared between the air and the ground, and between the ground and the ground. And that, for me, should be a focus, a priority, in terms of where we want to develop. And finally is the controller working. Controller will come if you have better rostering, if you have good management at local level. But controller productivity comes actually when you make it easier for controller to separate aircraft. And so for me,
Others, it's full cooperation between ANSPs. The regulation today, as it is performance per state, per ANSP. So if you degrade your performance to help your neighbor, there's nothing bad for that. So we're doing it voluntarily because of the situation, because there's so few capacity left in the center of Europe that each ANSP and all the FABs around me are guys around. And this is really a change of paradigm in the situation we're doing business. And this is, we'll see how it works. In the end, we'll see the rules for retributing delays, and that might be another piece, but this is an important piece of the puzzle. And we were saying about data, sharing data, collaborative decision making is really crucial at this point. We need to share the views of each day, the plans for the day, and then you can adjust and share really your constraints. It requires the trust.
Yes.
And you will expose yourself because you will show your weakness somehow. Yes, it's part of the deal. It will help the other one to make a better guess and have a better day in the end. So this is really important, and we have to trigger that all together. And I think this moment of crisis is really good to start that, but it's difficult. And finally, there's an elephant in the room, but let's talk about it. The borders.
Yeah.
The air traffic control doesn't, we're not designed for the flows. So there's also an initiative that we're launching VNN at FAB. And we're going to talk about new airspace design. We're going to put all our plans in the coming years. And VNN will run simulations and will give us a network view of our airspace. Will we be able to change our boundaries of the states, of the centers, of the sectors? We'll see. There are many other issues.
Yes.
Of safety, sovereignty, I mean, you name it. User fees, I mean, but we're trying to do that in good faith to see if it works. Let's see if it works. But that's also the point, is that it doesn't stop at the border. And we're going to try to move.
Traditional way of flying, I mean, they are flexible, they're becoming more national airspace arena. It's very difficult for the military. So, Joe, perhaps you could tell us about how you integrate national military mission effectiveness within this kind of centralized multinational airspace architecture.
During the workshops we've had as part of the airspace architecture study, we've had the military on a podium talking about their views. And what was striking is two things. First of all, they said, we actually do not care in the fastest possible time against whatever intruders they might have. So I think the military are not tied directly to the ANSP concern. They're tied into the airspace that they have to protect, and as long as they get the service. So basically, the military told us, don't use us as an excuse for saying we cannot do it.
Yeah.
Give us what we need, and then how you organize the airspace for provision, it's something else.
Okay.
So I think that was an important point.
Anne, thank you.
Yeah, I can say for sure that's not the case in Sweden. The military have strong opinions about, and actually we are the military ANSP also in Sweden. Not only in the upper airspace, we are running all the towers and all the bases in Sweden, and it might look different in other countries where you have, for example, NATO, and we are not a NATO country in Sweden, so we will have some.
So I'm sorry, I cut you off.
I wanted to react on the plans, kind of saying who is going to survive in the business case and who has to die or whatever, be out of this game and should compete with each other. So I think it will deliver the best service for our users. So this is also that we're performing enough, trying to give the best service. So probably everyone will be happy. And if the NSP business have to change just in order to provide a better business, so I think it have to happen.
Okay, that's I'm sure that's what a view everybody has. Anne, back to you.
But doesn't it? I think also it requires some coordination between the NSAs. Because, for example, in Sweden, you must be able to talk Swedish for running the Swedish airspace, the upper airspace and the lower airspace. So,
right. Okay.
So that's the one tricky question to solve.
Yeah. Sure. Thank you.
I think I want to make a fundamental point. The way we do the business now is not going to allow for a traffic growth in the next 20 years. We're looking at this way of service provision with the current sovereignty issues, with the current, as you say, military saying we do this and we don't care. Fundamentally, it is not going to work. The results of what we have last summer and this summer can be blamed on a lack of controls. But in some airspace, it hides structural issues. And if we had to solve the controller problem in the next 2 years, the issue of saturation of that airspace, of the inability of the ANSP as currently structured, so basically, yes, today it is difficult maybe to see how we're going to move to the next step because there are regulations, there are rules, there are as I think has been said. I have been told you didn't do a good job because of the delays, but you did an excellent job because you've highlighted the problem that we have, and now we have to change.
Yeah. Maurizio, perhaps you could tell me where things like cross-border free route airspace comes in this, because isn't this one of the, and CISAR too?
Yes. First of all, the cross-border coordination, as I said before, is a key element to improve our performance. And first of all, we implemented in Italy 2 years ago, more or less, the free route operation. Now we are full compliant with the European regulation. So we are providing free route service above 40305. And we did together with our colleague from Malta, with MOS. So that's why we implemented a sort of coordination in terms of free route operation, and with the same approach in terms of ATM platform and procedures. So we are trying to extend at the regional level this concept, and in my opinion, it helps us to improve our performance. How? Working on the same operational concept, moving from a changeover point concept to a boundary concept, which is something different, and adopting a flexible FMP that help us to process the information, the free route routings. Going back to the military aspect, just to give you another thing. In my opinion, our experience is to have on board at the very beginning of the study in terms of implementation new ATM platform or reorganization of the airspace. So the flexible use of airspace is important, and we adopt a simple strategy to have them inside the area control center. We work together on the same platform, adopting the same rules, more or less, and coordinating in a very fast way in order to accommodate the request of the airlines. This is one of the possible solutions. And in my opinion, as Joe said, we have to onboard military, state, European regulation, EASA, because, for instance, we have to move from the geographical concept of train the controller to operational concept, maybe introducing the free route license, for instance, without any constraint in terms of the geographical size of the configuration. And we have to think in a different way, because the world will change very fast. If we think as we did in the last period, we are not able to manage.
One of the problems I have with the airspace architecture is that we already have a slab of airspace in Europe, which is international, and of 2018, Maastricht wasn't immune from those problems, as was Karlsruhe, as were other air traffic control centers. So believing that somehow an entirely international upper airspace based on sectors around traffic levels is not necessarily the answer to everything. Joe, sorry, you're here. So almost every other ANSP in that heavy traffic area of Europe has.
First of all, it is not